the showbiz or the cool kids sitting in the corner like they had no
Welcome to
way.
episode 49
From the way
of the
they used to fall in love with someone new every Saturday. I want you bad like they say in every cliche song about teenage love, just a few cool jumbled up years, and it feels like they come and go, and then you won't be here.
So it has been a crazy long time since my last podcast because life has been kind of crazy. There's a few things I can't talk about just because they make me super frustrated and angry. If you do already follow me over on Instagram, you would have seen that we had to put our cat down back. Oh, I think it was Boxing Day of Christmas kind of holidays this year, so that was a little bit of a bummer. I mean, it happens, but it sucks. And my gallbladder has been fairly annoying, fairly awful. I'm not too sure if I've ever talked about it on the podcast necessarily, but I have gallstones as of, I guess, back in the summer. And essentially I've been waiting for surgery, so I do have a date now, so I'll be getting that whole gallbladder of mine removed, which is super exciting. I cannot wait, but it's kind of caused some delays into like other recordings that I've had planned and stuff, because if I get an attack, it's usually 2 o'clock in the morning and it sucks. It is some of the worst pain I've ever experienced, and it just sucks me completely of all energy. So usually the next day is pretty much a write-off. Yeah, and timing in general has just been difficult, let's put it that way. I don't know if I have a lot to actually share, like talk-wise. I have a bunch of projects to show. We'll just kind of see how this goes. I feel like I just need to get something out there. So let's give it a go. So as some of you know, if you've been around before, I have a cal going on for the pillow cal. It's the A, or the Canada A pillow along, which a whole bunch of different Canadian podcasters are participating as different hosts. My group hasn't been overly active, so we'll just kind of see how it goes. But I have finished my pillow, and it's kind of amazing. I do. It might be showing up backwards in the camera, but I'm not 100% sure. Now I'm totally feel like a newbie again. But it was actually a really just easy knit. The chart, I will say, because you're working it flat, there's some combination of cable stitches that I have never done before. Maybe they're just, I don't know if they're overly advanced, but they make sense when you see how they work up into the image that you've created. This one says A. But I found I had to look at the stitch legend almost every single time. Not a problem, because there's not that much of it in there, but it is something just to kind of be aware of, that the cables are a little more than just like your cable 2 front, cable 2 back, cable 4 front, cable 4, things like that. Here is the back. I just did mine in basic moss stitch to match, and I ended up making it fit onto an 18-inch size pillow form, which was the only one that they had at my Walmart. So it worked out. I used the Galway Chunky, which I really, really like. And I'm super, super tempted to buy this same yarn for a sweater. but we'll get into that later. So that's the first thing I had finished. The cowl runs until, oh crap, is it maybe the very end of March, I think. So there's tons of time if you still want to. You can find more information in, I believe, the last 2 episodes. So, I guess I can talk about the sweater that I'm wearing because I finished it. It's amazing. I love it. I need to re-block the collar because I didn't block the shawl collar portion like down enough, but it's totally fine. It's just I want it to be a little more, I guess I could just fold it over double, whatever. It all works. See, that even feels better there. So this is the Quenelle cardigan. It is knit out of, well, it is designed by Megan of Pip and Pin, and it is a wonderful pattern. I knit the extra large size, which I think is approximately like a 51-inch bust measurement. It is supposed to be very oversized, which it is. I love it. This thing, it kind of reminds me of like that smoking jacket kind of thing, and it's just, it's so cozy. I can't wait to just start wearing it more and more and more and more. The yarn I used is the absolutely wonderful, I will highly recommend this yarn, and I look forward to probably using it again in the future. It is the Fiber Company's Air & More Light, which is a DK weight. It's a thin DK weight. I will put that out there because it feels like you're knitting with fingering. And it is like a merino, silk, and cashmere blend, but it is woolen spun, tweedy, rustic, but it's just so lovely. I enjoyed knitting with it every single second. I used it for the seaming, which is a 3 needle bind off from the shoulder. I did hold it double, which was mentioned in the pattern. I don't know if I needed to per se, but it's done now, so I think I'm glad to have that extra little bit of stability. But I never once had the yarn break on me while I was knitting. I know a lot of people get a little worried with other yarns like Brooklyn Tweed, which can have some thick and thin spots in it due to the nature of the spin, which this yarn had as well, but it was wonderful. I loved it. So I did knit the coat length version, which you can't even see full frame, but it is just absolutely wonderful. The color is super hard to truly accurately get, which is a little frustrating, but it's one of those like burgundy reds. It's not a brick red, and the flecks in it are like blues and reds. I think maybe some black in there as well. I just love it. As far as the pattern, I think I had to knit the body to like 23 inches or something like that. It's knit bottom up. That felt like it was taking forever. Once I got past that, it seemed to move a lot quicker, which was really, really nice. But I think I've just gotten used to a few patterns that are a little bit quicker of a knit. This one has, I think you're working with 4 different stitch patterns over the whole thing, and there's like, I don't know, I think the repeat is like there's 7 or 11 different little sections that you work through every row. So it's a little more brain heavy, but you eventually do get into a rhythm with all of the stitch patterns. There's nothing complicated in here. It's just purls and knits and some twisted stitches, like actually knit through the back loop kind of twisted stitches. I'm not talking like twisted cable stitches. It's wonderful. Her shawl collar construction, and I'm so sorry, but there's garbage trucks. It's gonna be that kind of day. The shawl collar construction on here was brilliant. I think if I can somehow figure out the math on another sweater and implement the same kind of method, I probably will, because it was just simple and effective. Mind you, I didn't have to do the math for it, so all the hard work was done. I just had to follow the instructions. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say about it, but it's really wonderful. If you've considered the pattern but the length intimidates you, there's also measurements in the pattern for like the coat length, like hip length, waist length, which I think would also be really, really stunning. I have about, I think it was like 96 grams left. I have almost a full skein left because I did buy 7 skeins. So I have a good portion left over. I've been considering knitting like a belt for it. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I lost my train of thought there, but that's okay. It can happen. I have also, let's just continue with the finished stuff because there is a good pile of it here. I guess the first one, let's talk about this cowl, which is also going to show up kind of funny because of the lighting in here today. But this is a pattern that was recently released by Megan Schmaltz, who is the, what are her designs under now? The Not Sorry Knitter or the Unapologetic Knitter? I think it's Unapologetic now. But this is it. It is called Jaku Jaku. It is super fun. This takes, well, mine took exactly 1 skein of Sweet Georgia DK weight in 100% superwash merino. This is the, can't remember the colorway, but this is a lovely pattern. It is really fun to knit. There's a whole bunch of eyelets that come through it as well. There's this fun kind of section that you do end up knitting flat, but it was just really good. I tested this back in early December, I think, so it's been sitting around for a while. I've been waiting to show it off. I'm gonna insert some photos and stuff, I think, just because I think I got some shots where the color is that much better. But this was really, really great, and honestly, 1 skein of the Sweet Georgia GK, which has however much yardage in it, gave me more than enough to seam with at the end. Like, I just ended up with maybe 12 inches as my ending tail, which for me, that's wonderful. I didn't have to weave in the whole thing. I did, so this is actually the full 100 grams, just because I felt, why not? But yeah, there was also a hat that I test knit for Megan back in last spring, I think. It's the Cribble hat. I have lost mine. I have no idea where it is. I'm going to put some pictures in here, which are very basic pictures because I only have like 2. It's a gorgeous hat. I love this thing. I knit my sample out of, I think it's Barocco Comfort in the worsted weight. It's just a gray color, and I wore the crap out of it, and then it's disappeared. I don't know where it is, but there's a cable on it that kind of travels up a little panel. It's a 2x2 rib hat for the other, like the remainder of it. It is so wonderful, and I need to knit another one really, really badly. What else do I got? finished a shawl, which I don't think I showed last time because I don't know if I'd even started it last time. So this is the Phaedra shawl by Shannon Cook. I knit this out of some really nice yarn that I picked up on 2 separate occasions. So the bulk of it was picked up on my very first trip out to the Kensington Prairie Farms out in Langley. And it is a worsted weight that I picked up, and it is a blend of merino, alpaca, and bamboo, I think. This is so lovely. I cannot get enough of it. I've worn this again quite a few times. I finished it on Christmas Day, I think. It's a really great knit. I love the knitted on border, which creates these like horizontal stripes that are going through with slip stitches. I really enjoyed it, even though it is something over 800 rows or something, but whatever. I did half of it in the car. It was not bad. Another great pattern by Shannon Cook, and I could actually see myself knitting another one of these. Yeah. Feel like I'm kind of rushing through things just because I don't know. I just don't know. I'm so out of it. So I have finished a pair of socks, and that is one of them. The other one's over here for proof. So this was knit out of Barocco socks, which I picked up the last time I was in Victoria from one of the yarn stores over there. I cannot think of the name of it, but I love this yarn. It has that rustic, hard-wearing sock feeling. It looks like an ugly ski suit, and it is whatever colorway. I will put it up on there. I knit this in my typical fashion, 72 stitches, 2x2 rib on this one, fish lips kiss heel, rounded toe, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I really like the way it fits. The one thing I am going to mention is that when I was knitting the second sock of this pair, my needle tips from my ChowGoo interchangeable twist mini set kept untwisting like crazy. I have no idea why. But I've also finished another sock, this one here, which I just finished the other day, and this is out of the Fawn and the Fox yarns. It's a limited base that she only had a few test skeins of, I guess, in her shop. It was her Jackalope base, which was an 80/20 superwash merino nylon, and this is the Count colorway. My needle tips did not untwist a single time when I was knitting this sock, so I'm not sure if it was something with how I had paired the cable and the needle tips, or something was off. So I'm going to keep an eye on them and see, but that's, yeah, I still love the needles, but I really want to figure out what the heck was happening when I was knitting the second one of this. I've also finished 2 sockhead hats, which were really fun to knit. So the first one is this one here. I loosely followed the recipe by, I want to say Kelly McClure. Is it Kelly? I don't know. I will put the name on the screen. But it is the sockhead hat that I think everybody has knit. I did a cable cast on because I find they're super stretchy and they feel really nice on a hat on your head. There's none of that like, oh, it's so tight around my head. Ugh. On this one I did a 1x1 rib, which I think I prefer. I think I knit the whole body to like 9.5 inches or something, and then when it came time to do the decreases, I only did 1 round of knit between each row of decreases. So it makes a smaller like crown, and it definitely takes out some of that slouch, because I don't know, I can't wear a super slouchy hat. The yarn I used for this one is a skein that I received through the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted from Adrian of the Fiber Friends podcast, and is it Oak Tree Yarns, her yarn dyeing company? Can never remember, I always mess it up. But this yarn is from Hazel Knits, which I have wanted to try forever. This is the Entice base, which is a 70-20-10 merino cashmere nylon base in the hydrangea color, and yeah, I see what the hype is about. I absolutely enjoyed it. And this only took me something like 54 grams, maybe, somewhere in there, so I still have a nice little nugget left. The second one I knit is this one here, and this was another really special skein that was gifted to me recently, and the gauge is slightly different, so I knit them on the same needle size, but the yarn is definitely different. This one has a little bit more room to it, but they both fit perfectly fine, and I enjoy them both. So this yarn, it was gifted to me by Serena of Wild in the Woods. This is an old skein that she had back when she was dyeing under Serena Nicole Yarns, or Serena Nicole Yarns. This is her No Sleep Till Brooklyn colorway that I have been obsessed with, and she gifted it to me over the Christmas holidays, and I thought having this as like a sockhead hat would just be kind of special, because I love it. I just love it. So with this one I did a little differently. I did a 2x2 rib, which I don't know, like, ribbing's a tricky one for me. They both look great, the 1x1 and the 2x2, but knitting 2x2 rib for me kind of gets annoying. Like the way it fits. I wore this hat out the other day and it was awesome. Couldn't even feel it on my head. There was no like squishing my head feeling, which I hate, especially if I'm wearing my glasses and it gets like my ear all scrunched up on like the arm. So none of that happened, but I'm excited to try something else, kind of fingering weight hat, just basic. I might try the Knits came out with their Still Light hat pattern, which is a fingering weight version. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. The Barley Light. Anyways, this pattern by Tin Can Knits is something I want to try as well, just to see how it kind of fits overall. I get a little leery of garter stitch panels because I tried to knit the Ricky hat once, or the Rick hat, and my head and pure garter stitch hats do not work together. So we'll see what happens. As for projects that I am currently working on, I have the second sock of the Kemp Socks living in this bag here. So I've done the cuff and I'm just slowly trucking away at it. I really like the yarn. I love an 80/20, so this definitely fits the bill. And I'm excited to be knitting with another skein of Laura's yarn again. Excuse me. Yeah. And then I cast, okay, so I think I have all 3 swatches here. So I swatched 3 times because I am determined to use the cones of Holst Garn Super Soft that I have. I just want to check the time. Whatever, got some left. I've tried to swatch with it for a different pattern before, but I figured this time I would just swatch flat and see what the hell happened. So my first swatch is on a 2.75mm needle. It's fairly stiff, but I like how close the fabric is after washing it twice. I think it would work well for something depending on shape-wise of what you knit with it. The second swatch is done on a 3.0mm needle, 3.0, and it's not bad. I mean, it's a little bit looser, it has a little bit more drape to it, and it's, so all of my swatches, when I swatch for sweaters, I do a 42 stitch swatch, and I try to get as square as possible. It doesn't always work out because I don't usually get too caught up on my row gauge. I'm more concerned about the stitch gauge, but you can see this, the one in the back is about 3 stitches larger. So that's the 2. This was the 3rd one I did, and it is massive in comparison to the first one. Like, it just was such a difference, which doesn't look like it on camera because they're kind of not holding their shape as much anymore. But this one on the 3.25mm needle is just, it's gorgeous for something like a shawl. I think if I knit it as a sweater, it's way too sheer, and when you get into a drapier fabric, there's less structure to the fabric, so I don't think it would wear as well. I mean, it looks great, so maybe in the future as like a shawl or something I could use it at this gauge. But I'm very happy to have 3 decent swatches done. And I am happy to say that I jumped the gun and cast on, so yeah, I didn't dye it. I have another cone in this deep forest green colorway, which is wonderful. However, when I do knit with it, it colors my fingers, so that's fun. Gonna have to really wash this when it's done. But I have cast on the Still, so I cast on the Still Light tunic, which it's a dark color. You can't really see so much. And I am working at a different gauge than the pattern. I chose the 3.0mm needle because I like the fabric, and I'm working my way through the raglan. I've kind of put this to the side just recently, but I'm working with a different gauge, so I'm also kind of monitoring the raglan increases. I don't think I'm going to do the full, but I'll talk more about that when I get through the raglans and see what I've done. But I'm liking it so far. It's very easy, and it's hopefully gonna, you know, gonna get even easier once I finish these raglans, because each row right now is quite long. And I don't really want to work on it right now because I'm working on another new cast on, and if you are aware, which I think everybody in the whole entire world is aware, the Olympics are happening. It is the Winter Olympics, and I love watching as much as I can. I will say I'm not super interested in the figure skating events. I get a little annoyed when that's all that's on TV. I think it's a great, it takes a lot of skill. I just find sometimes I get a little bored when I watch it because it takes so long, and I don't know, I think I'm just figure skated out. Same with curling. I can watch curling because I find the strategic part of it a little bit interesting, but to actually watch the coverage on TV kind of kills. Like, it's long. For me, it's the same as watching a baseball game on TV. It's so much better to be there in person. It's not as fun when you're watching it on TV, but that's just me. But if you have heard of it before, on Ravelry, I don't know who first created it, I don't know who started it or what year they started it, but it is now the 2018 Ravelenics. It's the Knitting Olympics, everybody, and I'm participating this year with the Canadian Ice Dogs. No. Canadian Ice Frogs, which is essentially it's the Burnaby Froggers Anonymous group, which I have frequented a little bit, and I know a fair amount of the women over there, so I figured, oh, why not? Krista was kind of the instigator for a lot of us joining. And it was quite funny because she kind of got a lot of us with like selling it by the fact that like technically you don't have to do anything. You can actually, there's one section, I think it's called the Aerial Unwind, and technically for that all you have to do is frog a project. So there's no knitting involved in that one. All you have to do is frog a project. Sold. Easily done. However, I love a good challenge. So I have cast on sweater, and I am like over 50% done, and it is technically day 4 of which I've been knitting on it. So prior to 2018 rolling in, I kind of fed the stash a little bit. I'm hoping to get up a separate video about it. But I purchased some Cascade Eco because, yeah, can't go wrong with it. It's a great yarn. I love it. I have a sweater in it already, and love it. So this is the Cascade Eco. It's I guess it's like a bulky weight yarn, you would say. And this is the silver gray colorway, which I absolutely love. And I have cast on, are you ready? The Avalanche Pullover. So this is a pattern by Isabel Kramer. It is a raglan style pullover with a wonderful cabled panel down the front. And I love it. Absolutely love it. So the body is complete. I did the ribbing this morning. And I don't know. It's knit at a slightly looser gauge for me than I've knit with Eco before. I like it. This yarn it's actually really, really soft. I really enjoy it. I do find sometimes I think it's the Eco Plus line of the Cascade Eco, which are more the dyed colorways, tend to have a different feel to them. This one is, I don't know, fairly natural colorway. That it's soft. It's wonderful. But yeah, I am knitting this at a different gauge, so I chose the M2 size, which should give me like a 46-inch bust or something like that. Yeah, it should give me closer to like a 47-inch bust, which has, give or take, I don't know, let's call it minimum 8 inches of ease on me, technically. So it needs to block out a fair amount, which it will. I mean, it has the give. If it's a little bit of a tighter pullover, I am not going to complain. I love the way this feels on so far. I have started the one sleeve. I don't have my 9-inch circulars in a US. Is a 9? Yep, a 9, a 5.5 millimeter needle, which kind of irks me because I have to magic loop, but it should go quick enough. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. Yeah, not much to say about it. Hopefully having this finished pretty soon. I'm on the second ball of
I love it when you wear that sweater. I love it when you wear that sweater.
the Cascade. And if you've knit or seen these balls before, seen these skeins, hanks, whatever, they're big put-ups. They're like 250 grams and I think they're 478 yards. So amazing. You cannot go wrong. Like, you just, it's amazing. It's too good. I actually think if I really wanted to knit like a Hudson's Bay inspired blanket, I'd probably use the Eco and it would be amazing. But that is what is taking up all of my attention right now because I'm really enjoying it. It's just wonderful, and it'll be another sweater of my needles. So that's pretty much everything I've been working on, I think. I'm not going to go over any stash stuff. There has been stuff coming in, but as of December 28th, I started a yarn diet. So that was a good, the 50th day of my yarn diet, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I've actually noticed I've stopped looking at a lot of yarns. Like before I would just like browse through people's Instagrams of dyers and go on Etsy and just search through things, which I'm not doing as much, which feels good. Every now and then something pops into my view and I kind of get that like, ooh, it's really pretty, I should get that. But I haven't, and I feel good about it. I have a ton of stuff in my stash. I really, really, really do. But I need to use it, because what good is having it sitting around till who knows when? Just use it now. So that is my goal, really big goal for 2018, is to just use stash. It's going to get tested in March. So in March there will be a little bit of a test for my willpower. Fibers West is happening, like the second last weekend, and I plan on going. I wouldn't be opposed to buying some more Harrisville tweed coned because I know I'll use it. We'll see what happens. Maybe make it like a little bit of a treat. Something. I don't know. Make it a bonus for finishing my taxes or something. I don't know. But it's going really well. I did do some yarn buying. Like the last day I bought yarn, which was the Eco, was on the 27th of December, and earlier in December I went on a mini yarn crawl with my friend Laura. Brought home quite a bit of lovelies there, but it's all good. It's 2017. was totally fine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to chit chat about today. Well, a whole lot more. But I keep losing my thingy thing. I do want to mention a few people I've been into lately, I guess we can say. So the Wooden Nest, or A Wooden Nest podcast, is brilliant. I found her when she put out her first episode, and then she hasn't put out episodes like every week or anything, but I think she's got 5 or 6 now. Wonderful. Love her aesthetic, everything. So definitely check her out. Podcast that came out from the Needles in the Hay yarn store in Peterborough, Ontario. They only have 1 episode up as of this moment, I'm pretty sure. And it is called Needles on the Net. And is it, let me just try to get the info up here. Yeah, so Deanna and Ethan have started the podcast for Needles in the Hay, and it's called Needles on the Net. They have 1 episode out. It's great. They are definitely entertaining, and I cannot wait to see more of what they do. I actually picked up this yarn through their online shop, so that was really awesome. When I was back in Ontario, I went and saw them. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've been watching lately, besides watching like every possible detective murder related show on Netflix. Little ridiculous, but they suck me in. I just want to find out who did it, why, what happened. I love it. Love it. And then I also want to say thank you to Paula over at Bad Anna's on the blog. They kind of did a shout out of some local podcasters of the knitting world and gave me a little shout out there, so that was awesome. Super nice things were said. I don't know, I think that's it, you guys. I would love to thank you for watching, tuning in. Sorry it's been so long. Life has just been a little chaotic, a little crazy, busy, lots going on, a little bit high stress, so you know, things are happening, but it's good. It's good. Things are, it'll all work out. It'll all work out in the end. But thank you so much for watching. I hope to be back again at a more regular interval. I'm gonna say probably 2 weeks from now, but we shall see what happens. And I hope you are all having the very best week, weekend, whatever you may be enjoying at the moment, and I will see you next time.